Let's introduce the Microsoft command line tools that you should know for the exam, as well as the help feature. There's two main tools you want to be working with. That's the command prompt and the PowerShell. We're in Windows 10 Pro here, so let's show both of these and show how to open them. And we'll start with the command prompt. In any version of Windows, you can go to the search field. As long as you can get to the search option, you can go there and type CMD, and it should bring up the command prompt here. Also, for all versions of Windows, and this is my favorite, you can press Windows and R, the Windows key and R key on the keyboard to bring up the run prompt and type in CMD. And if you press enter, that'll bring up the command prompt. And in Windows 8, I'll bring that up real quick. You can right-click on the Start button and go to Command Prompt. However, that option is not included in Windows 10. If we right-click there, we get the PowerShell. They're trying to push people more towards the PowerShell, and there's a lot of good things about the PowerShell. But in Windows 10, you can go through the Start menu and go through the Programs group, go all the way down to Windows System, and then you'll see command prompt. So a variety of ways to open this. If we click on it, it'll open up the command prompt, and by default, it'll drop you into your user profile folder. So we're in C:\users/sysadmin, and we can see we have the command prompt open. And by default, we have this black background and the white text. But I modified mine a little bit, and I pinned that command prompt to the taskbar here. And so I'm going to click on that here, and you can see I gave it a nice bigger font type and black text on white background, just a little easier to see. So if you want to make changes like that, you can right-click on the title bar and go to Properties, and then you can change your font type, the layout, the colors, and so on. So anyways, this is the basic command prompt, and you can run commands from here, like the dir command, to find the folders, otherwise known as directories, and files that are in that particular folder that you're located in right now. You can use commands like ping to see if a host is available on the network or on the internet, for example, dprocomputer.com, and we're getting replies from that IP. So lots of things you can do with the command prompt, and you want to be able to open this in a variety of ways. Make sure you can get to it, and if you use it a lot, consider pinning it either to the desktop or to the taskbar here. Now, some of the commands that you're going to run, you have to run as an administrator, which means that you'd have to run the command prompt in elevated mode. And there's a variety of ways to do that. One of the easy ways to do that is to go to the search, type in CMD, and then you'll find the app that you want. You can right-click it and select Run as Administrator. Another option is to do it from the Start menu. We'll go back down to Windows System, right-click on Command Prompt, go to More, and go to Run as Administrator. Also, I almost forgot, in the search, if you are in the search field and it's highlighted, you can press Control-Shift-Enter to bring that up. And finally, if you have it pinned somewhere, you can right-click it, then right-click the name, and then Run as Administrator. Now, when we do so, the User Account Control, UAC, comes up saying, hey, do you want to allow this app to make changes? Because now we're going to be running in elevated mode. And the answer is yes, so that we can run it. And I'll maximize it here. And you can see a couple changes. First of all, it doesn't just say command prompt, it says administrator. So we know we are in elevated mode. And we're not placed into our user profile folder, we're placed into System32. So at this point, we have to be very careful. We want to make sure that we don't make any major changes to the system, because System32 is where all the important system files are located. And we want to make sure that nobody else has access to this that shouldn't have access. But this is where I normally do most of my work if I'm using the command prompt, because a lot of the utilities that I'll work with need administrator mode. They need to be running in elevated mode. So be sure you know how to do that because you'll be using it often. Let's close out of that for now. The other tool you want to be able to use is the PowerShell. The PowerShell is integrated into Windows, and there's been a big push to move toward the PowerShell over recent years. It's a combination of the command prompt and also a scripting language. So it enables an admin to do all kinds of administrative tasks that might integrate scripts and executable files, and allows you to take more control of computers and user accounts and so on. So there's a variety of ways to open this. We can do it from the search. Once again, type in PowerShell, and you'll see it here. And there's that icon for it. We could also go to the run prompt and type in PowerShell. And in Windows 10, we could go through the programs group, go to the bottom here, go to Windows PowerShell and Windows PowerShell. So a variety of ways to open this. I've already pinned this to the taskbar as well. And so if you open that guy up, you'll see that it automatically puts you, if you just run it in regular mode, it automatically puts you into the users folder and your profile folder, just like with the command prompt. But you can see here it says PS and Windows PowerShell. Now, quite often you'll need to run this as an administrator as well. So we can do that in the same type of way. If we do a PowerShell search, right-click it, run as administrator, same ways as with the command prompt. We can right-click on it on the taskbar and run as administrator. We'll say yes. And then we know we're in as an administrator because it says here, we're in elevated mode and we're in System 32. And so you can run a lot of these same things that we showed before. We could do a DIR. We're going to get a lot more data here because we're in the System 32 folder. So that's a lot of data there. You may want to break that up, and you can do that with something like the dir space pipe more option. And that'll do it by the page. If you're in the command prompt, you could do that with the dir/p. So there's a variety of ways to do this. I'm going to break out of that with a Control-C. That's Control-C on the keyboard to break out of something that's running. Sometimes you might do a Control-Break on the keyboard. And we'll do a CLS to clear the screen. But you can run all these commands, like the ping command, like we did before. And you'll notice here that commands are shown in yellow, so a little bit color-coded. And you'll get a bunch of red if something doesn't work properly. All right, so you could do a lot of what you do in the command prompt, but you can also do scripting from within here. And so you want to know how to open it and how to open it as an administrator. Okay, another tool that you're going to want to work with is the PowerShell with the integrated scripting environment. And so if we right-click on this, you'll see we have the Windows PowerShell ISE, and we'll bring that up. And you might see the PowerShell itself, where again, we can run our commands. And you see the replies here. But if you click on the arrow here, you can show the scripting side, where you can actually write the code. And, you could do advanced scripting with this. For example, if you wanted to add something like this here, you could copy that into here, or you could just run the commands that we were running before. So let's say we wanted to do that ping that I did before, and it color codes everything nice for you. You can type that in and then hit the play button to run that in the actual command line. And then you may say, okay, well, let's increase the packet size for that to say 1500. And then we could just run that script to get those 1500 in there. And we could add -t and run it here. This way we have a working area for everything we're doing. And this is just a very basic example, but it's cool because we can keep making modifications here and then run it here in the actual command line. And when we're done, we can stop it. Stop the operation. We could do that with the control break. So that's the PowerShell with the integrated scripting environment. So if you're going to write scripts often, this is the way to go. And you can write, test, and debug your scripts from here and run it over and over again, making modifications as you go. So definitely check out the PowerShell ISE. And you can open that up. Again, we can go to PowerShell here. It'll find it. You can also find it in the start group, so you can use the search or the start group. And if you're interested in the run prompt, I believe that is PowerShell_ISE. And it is. And you can have multiple PowerShells running at the same time here. Good stuff. Definitely get into it. So those are the two tools, the command prompt and the PowerShell that you're going to want to be working in. And we're going to go through all kinds of commands as we go through these lessons that you're going to be using. But one of the things you're going to want to work with is the help option. And I'm back in the command prompt here. And if you ever need any type of help with a particular command, there's a variety of ways to go about getting that help. But probably the best way is to use the /?, because that's I think that's the most universal. So if we do a dir space /? and press enter, okay, dir /? that'll give us the information about that command. What does it do? It displays a list of files and subdirectories in a particular directory. By default, the one you're located in, but it doesn't have to be. And then you could sort those with /o and n to do it alphabetically. You can do all kinds of things with this. All of these are the parameters or options that you can add onto dir. They also call them switches. Switches, options, parameters, and so on. So let's say we could do this dir /on parameter, and that'll sort everything alphabetically. So that's a great way to do that. If you have more questions about ping, do a ping space /? to find out the options or the parameters that you can use with that. And I was showing some different options there real quick. With some of the commands, you can also use the help option. So we could do, say, a help space dir, and that'll tell you about it. But the help option only works with some commands. If you just type help and press enter, you'll see which commands you can learn more about. This doesn't include much of the way of the networking commands, and it's limited as far as the entire command set. But there are a lot of commands here. So if you wanted to find out more about, say, the time command, we could do help space time, and that'll give the basic information about that. But again, the more universal way to do this is to use /?. So if you're and all the networking commands are not here. So let's say you have a question about netstat. We could do a netstat space /? to get all the parameters or switches that we can use with that and get the basic definition for what it does. You can also find out more about all the Microsoft commands at this link that I'm showing on the screen here. So definitely use the help option. You could also use the search option if you wanted to within the OS, but the help option within the command prompt or the PowerShell is the way to go. So to sum it all up, you want to know how to use the command prompt and the PowerShell, how to open each of those in a variety of ways, be able to pin those to the taskbar or to the start menu or to the desktop so that you can use them often and get to them quickly, know how to run them in elevated mode, and know how to get about the help system. So that's the command prompt, PowerShell, and the PowerShell with the integrated scripting environment. So definitely check it out, and we're going to get more into all this as we go through the videos.